Hi, my name is Jennifer Wire. I am a student here at Pierce College, currently taking Management 296. Today I'm going to be presenting the information that I have found through my research as well as an interview that I conducted with a human resource professional by the name of Wendy Williams. So let's get started. So the first subject we're going to discuss is some HR issues and laws. So Wendy, she has only been in her position there at Gentle Dental for about 4 months, maybe 5. She said end of January is when she got hired on there as practice manager. But she's already faced a couple issues there as manager. Since HR professionals are in charge of pretty much the entire life cycle of the employee, there are a lot of potential issues and laws that HR professionals have to find themselves navigating through and around and learning from also. So one of the biggest things that Wendy was dealing with currently in her position was being able to maintain patient and employee health and safety through COVID. There are certain protocols required by the Washington State Health Department, mask mandates, and these are required for employees and patients. And if they aren't followed properly and consistently, then she as practice manager is going to have to answer and be accountable to her boss, which is the clinical regional manager. And then she will also have to make those employees that aren't taking those protocols seriously, she'll have to decide how she wants to deal with them. And hopefully there's disciplinary policies in place to give her a better picture of how exactly to do that. Let's see, maintaining optimal patient and employee ratios are important to her. She's in charge of maintaining the profitability for her office. So she has to create and maintain employee schedules in conjunction with the appointments scheduled for that day. And if the ratios aren't lining up and there's more employees versus patients and appointments that day, then she needs to let some employees go and cut some hours. And if she can do that effectively, she gets a bonus every 6 months. And if she doesn't, then she's going to have to be accountable to her supervisors as to why she wasn't able to do that. Another thing that she has to deal with constantly being in the medical profession is patient privacy laws. It's up to her to make sure that every employee knows and understands these laws and applies them consistently. Because if they don't, they can be in real big trouble. And then also going back to employee discipline, being able to properly discipline employees and going by the policies that have been provided by the organization to terminate and discipline employees is always the best practice. If your organization does not have disciplinary policies, that's risky because it opens you up for all sorts of accusations. When organizations have a step-by-step process to how to deal with employees that have broken rules, and to what degree, then it provides a clear-cut picture for both the employee and the organization to know what to expect. And when organizations create code of conducts, this helps tremendously for the organization and the employee to know what to do and what not to do and what can get them immediately fired. And those were the biggest issues that she faces. And then we're now on to the next subject. Hi, in this section, we're going to be discussing behavioral job interview questions and why they're important. One of the reasons why they're really important is because when hiring managers are hiring for their organization. It's important to remember that you're not just hiring that person for their skill, you're hiring the whole person. You're hiring their attitude, their behavior, and how they react. And that is going to affect the whole dynamic of whoever they're working with. And it's going to be a determining factor of if they're a happy employee, if they're a productive employee, if they take accountability, if they're an employee that's going to develop and grow within the organization. These are all things that are going to be really important and just as important to evaluate as anybody's technical skill. There's a lot of things you can find out by asking like certain behavioral questions, and it's smart that hiring managers really assess what they want and what they're looking from each employee and create questions that help them get answers from the employees to help them better gauge how that employee is in certain situations. There are certain things that you can gauge, like Wendy, she likes to gauge her employees' conflict resolution skills and their problem solving skills, because in the dentist office, there are a lot of upset patients, whether it be about the cost or pain or what have you. It's important that each person knows how to deal with conflict and know how to de-escalate a situation and how to talk to people when they are in a irate state or an upset state and how to bring them back down from that. Some of the questions she asks are, have you ever had to deal with a difficult patient? And if so, then explain. And then another one is, how would you explain or how would you deal with a patient that is upset with their treatment plan? Another thing that employers can really gauge is the future employees, how they face their challenges. You know, do they give up and retreat, or do they persevere? Do they set goals for themselves? Some sample questions would be, tell me about your first job. Was it easy for you to pick up? What was one of the hardest things you had to learn about your first job? Another thing Wendy likes to gauge is her employees' level of accountability and ownership. I think when employees can take accountability, it says a lot about that person, and it also says that they can own and hopefully learn from the mistakes that they make, making them a better person each mistake that they make, and learning from them and not making the same mistakes. Some sample questions for this would be about a past goal that you failed to reach. What are some things that you did afterwards? Did you ever reach it? Things like that. And you not only get what the person did, but you kind of also get a level of, you get to gauge their personalities and their attitudes towards these things that they face. And the last thing she says she likes to gauge is the employee's level of motivation and if they have the same kind of values as they do there at Gentle Dental. And example question for this would be, tell me about some professional goals that you have for yourself. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those kinds of things, you know? And I think that's really it for this section.